So getting lean is a phase. This is what we want to go through and just make sure that we're clear on this. So getting lean is a phase. Staying lean is a lifestyle. Exactly what we're talking about. So most people pursue a lean physique. Most people who, sorry, most people who pursue a lean physique do, blah, blah. Oh, what's going on? Let me drink some water right now. What's going on? Ah, okay, let's go. Most people who pursue a lean physique do so through a structured phase. Calories are reduced, training volume increases, meals become more controlled. During this period, motivation tends to be high. The goal is clear, progress is visible. The effort feels temporary. But once the desired body fat level is reached, a new question emerges. Can this condition be maintained without continuing the same level of restriction? For many people, the answer is complicated because the behavior required to reach very low body fat levels are often the same behaviors required to maintain them. And those behaviors can shape daily life in ways that are not always obvious at the beginning. So, hunger does not always disappear. The margin for error shrinks. Food becomes strategic. Social flexibility changes. Sleep and recovery can be affected. The mental bandwidth, identity trap. So those are the how many things? Let's count those together. So the cost. Let's see how many things. Okay, so one, hunger does not always disappear. The margin for error shrinks. Food becomes strategic. That's three. Social flexibility changes. Sleep and recovery can be affected. The mental bandwidth, the identity trap. Yeah, mental bandwidth. Yeah. And yeah, so we've got seven things that we need to go over and consider. So let's look at number one. Hunger does not always disappear. So one of the most consistent experiences reported by individuals maintaining low body maintaining low body fat levels is persistent hunger. This does not mean constant extreme hunger, but it does often mean that meals must be planned carefully to manage appetite. When body fat decreases, the hormones that regulate hunger shifts. Leptin levels decline as fat stores drop. Ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, can increase. These signals are not flaws in the system, they are biological feedback. The body interprets low energy reserves as a signal to encourage food intake. Maintaining leanness often requires managing those signals daily. For some individuals, this becomes routine. For others, it becomes exhausting. So right there, your hormones that regulate hunger, they shift. So the desire to eat doesn't change. It doesn't change. Your body still wants to eat food, even if you say that you want to get lean. So you have to manage your hunger. You have to manage your appetite. And this is what's leading people to take GLP-1s. This is one area. This is how they're trying to address this. Excuse me. This is how they're trying to address this. So this is something that I want to dig in a little bit more because when we talk about hunger, managing leptin levels and your ghrelin. So ghrelin, sorry, yeah. You you really want to take this seriously because that's also what causes people to wake up in the middle of the night to just say, I want to eat that, or I'm hungry, I'm going to order takeout. Because your body still requires all of that, whether it's sugars, whether it's sodium, whether it's carbs or fats, your body requires this. So to starve yourself and say that I just want to get lean, the question is, are you ready? Are you prepared? Because that battle is going to come and you have to be ready. And so we're going to move on because everything ties in together at the end of the day. So now we're going to look at the margin for error shrinks. So when the margin of error shrinks, the body, when body fat is moderate, the body has flexibility. A larger meal one evening rarely causes noticeable changes. A missed workout does not significantly alter body composition. But at a very low body fat percentage, the margin for variation narrows. Small changes in intake or activity can produce visible shifts. This does not mean the body becomes fragile, but maintaining that condition requires more precision. Meals may need to remain consistent. Training may need to stay frequent. Energy intake must stay aligned with energy expenditure. The routine becomes less forgiving. That's exactly it. That's what happened here, right here. This is me with the pizza, right? This is like 3 weeks, right? I'd had like a pizza before, like I was a bit leaner. It doesn't mean that I was like this and then I went to this. No, I was still somewhere closer, but I was leaner than this. And then I had a pizza the week before. So like 1 week, I started my peak week early and I peaked too soon. So this is what you don't want, right? When you're trying to get on a stage to compete in a bodybuilding show. But if I was just living my life, like this would be fine. But just the fact that my body changed so drastically just by eating one pizza, it tells you something. It tells you that the margin for error shrinks because you're looking so lean. So you have to be ready for that. And the moment that happens, because even after the show, there's a rebound. In bodybuilding, you call it a rebound, where when you cut, you get so lean. And after your show, you start eating the normal food. But you also don't want to overdo it because your body is so sensitive at that point that you could gain 30, 50 pounds in such a short period of time because your body's trying to refeed itself and restore that energy that you were starving it. That's why the body sort of like swings the pendulum so so much in the opposite direction because you've swung it the other way. So it has to correct itself. So that is the danger when you're saying that I want to get lean. You want to figure out like what is a healthy body fat percentage that I can maintain as a lifestyle, not to just get lean for an event. Because I personally said like I'm not going to compete in bodybuilding anymore because I was just like, okay, this is too much. This cannot be good for your body because you're putting so much stress on your body. But you need to make it a lifestyle that is the fitness lifestyle, not try and do like one extreme. It's kind of like, running a marathon, like preparing for a marathon. You say, okay, I want to finish this marathon. Okay, once you finish it, what comes next? Because fitness and health is not about reaching a destination, it's about consistently following through and training forever so that you don't get sick, so that you stay healthy, so that you can move. You can do everything that you want to do with your friends, with your family. That is the goal for everything. It's about having that lifestyle, creating that lifestyle, forming that lifestyle. And that happens daily with your choices daily. So that is what we talk about the margin for error. It shrinks and food becomes strategic, right? So at moderate body weight, body fat percentages or levels, eating can remain relatively intuitive. Meals satisfy hunger, energy levels remain stable. But when someone is maintaining very low body fat levels, food often becomes strategic. Meals are structured at around macros, portions may be measured, certain foods may be avoided, not because they're harmful, but because they may make maintaining body composition more difficult. This level of control can be useful during short phases of focus training or competition preparation. Over long periods, however, it can shape how someone relates to food itself. Eating becomes less about nourishment and more about maintaining a specific appearance. So, right there, like, I mean, this is, I still think, and I think for someone who's trying to lose weight, so this one you have to take it with a bit more judgment, right? Based on where you are. And this is again about lifestyle. So I made videos on tracking your food, your meals, how important that is. So when you track your food and you track your meals, you're actually able to understand, okay, what am I eating? How many calories? So you have to know that at least because you can be intuitive about how what you're eating before you track it and before you see how much you're eating. You cannot know it intuitively before you track. So you have to track, get used to it for some time, right? Let's say, for example, you've gotten to the point where you're like, okay, I'm lean. And once you get lean, you kind of know, like, okay, I use this cup, right? Let's say, for example, you've got this glass. I say, okay, I'm using this glass and that's what I'm using, right? And then, like, let's say if you have a lunchbox, you know, like, okay, what am I measuring? You've got, okay, I've got a container that I use to like meal prep, or you've got plates that you use. So those are consistent. And you now know how much you add, how much you don't add, so that you don't have to keep tracking everything in that way. But you're at least strategic in the beginning. Whatever goal you're trying to aim for, you're going to be strategic. You have to aim for a specific goal. And that's going to come down to tracking your food to begin with. And then after that, after you can be more intuitive, right? So that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see when it comes to being strategic. But you don't want to be obsessed. I'll probably call this obsession. You don't want to be obsessed, not strategic. Strategy is good. Obsession is a problem where it consumes you, right? So I think that's probably what I would how I would adjust that.